Hello my fellow YouTubians, this is ThePoolSharkWizard, and today guys we are playing some Gran Turismo 6. Now I'm going to show you guys something that I think is one of the most important things to upgrade. First thing we're going to do is I went into this little area right here called recommended cars. What you can do here is you can choose certain races and it will tell you which cars are recommended for it. Now I've decided to go with this Focus ST13. The reason for it is because it has 252 horsepower and it's front-wheel drive. Now, if you look at the other horsepowers, for around the $2,400 mark or less, you're not going to have it close to the 252 horsepower. And it's also front-wheel drive, so that means the handling is going to be pretty well on it too. And I also know that you can upgrade it quite a bit, because if you look at down where it says drivetrain aspiration, it says FF and T. FF is the front-wheel drive, and then T means turbo, so that means you could throw a turbo inside this thing and get even more juice out of it. So it only comes in one color, I believe, here. No, it does come in some more colors, but I think I'll stick with the yellow just because that looks kind of cool. So we're gonna go ahead and purchase this. And one of the first upgrades that I like to do, that I think is pretty important to get, is the transmission. Now, the reason the transmission is important is because if you're racing around a racetrack, you're usually not going to hit the top speed unless you're on an extremely long, like, straight. But for this, I've already decided which race I'm going to choose, but I want to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about. So we can go over to the garage right here, and I'm going to go into my car settings for this. And I will show you guys what I'm talking about. So you have three tabs across the top here. I have A, B, and C. A, I'm just going to leave completely stock. The B tab, I'm actually just going to select transmission here. And I'm going to go with this fully customizable transmission. It costs $18,000, which is almost as much as the car, but you guys will see why it's different. The thing that's nice about it is you can adjust what the top speed is here. So currently the top speed's set at 162, and you can have the top speed set all the way up to 261 in this particular car. And as you guys can see on the right hand side, underneath the fully customizable dog clutch, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you guys move this slider, it adjusts all those numbers. So it means that it will give it some more acceleration. And I think I'm just going to keep it as, I'm just going to guess about 149 for this particular race, and as you guys can see, we're at 2.959 on the first one, so that means higher acceleration. So I'm just going to hit X, but now I'm going to go into my standard, just completely stock, absolutely nothing done to it. And I'm going to try racing it just with this to show you guys. Alright guys, we are back, and we're going to go into the novice career mode here. And I'm just going to go down to the novice championship here, because there's a particular race that I want to demonstrate this on, because it has a lot of turns on it. It's right here. It's the Autumn Ring. So this is the one where I'm going to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. As you guys can see, the entry requirements is it takes 450 or less. So because our 450 pp or less, because our car is only set at 429, we can easily go into this race. So let's go ahead and enter this race. And I'm probably going to fast forward through, or might even cut out the racing part so the video isn't extremely long, but I believe this is a 2-lap race. And one of the first things that I usually check is once it brings up this little grid right here, you can hit R1 to change the information. And now I'm looking on the right side. I'm looking at the course length, 1.83 miles, and I'm looking at the longest straight, which is 0.26 miles. So 0.26 miles means to me at about a quarter mile. In a quarter mile, you're probably going to get maybe a little bit over 140 if you're lucky. And that's a way you guys can tell when you actually use the transmission. Now, of course, we're just using the stock one here. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Is on the B tab, we actually upgraded the transmission, but this one's just completely standard. I've done absolutely nothing to it. And now I'm going to show you guys how this thing will run around this racetrack. So let's go ahead and give it a go and see what we get out of it. Now, like I mentioned, I might cut out all this racing. I might not. We'll have to see here. But keeping the things to keep an eye on here, and I need to change my view to the proper view that I'm used to right here. Keep an eye on your actual top speed. So right down in the center, right between the two dials there, it has the top speed that you're going to hit. So if you keep an eye on that, that'll give you an idea of how fast your car is going to top out at. Like I said, because it's only about a quarter mile, I think it will only top out at maybe 140 if we're lucky. And that's just that's completely stock. So it's a good number to keep in mind, because then you can adjust your transmission every time you're racing. So let's go ahead and try keeping this car on the track, and hopefully we will take out all these other guys. Let's stay on the course. There we go. And I know, so that might have been I don't know if that was a long straight or not, but you just have to keep an eye out of the top speed that you're actually going to hit. So right there, and I wish at the end of the race it would kind of give you what your top speed was. That would be nice. There might be a way to find that out. But right there, we made it up to about 96, so still not even close to that 140 mark that I said that we might hit at some point. But I don't think we've hit the longest straight yet either. Now, as you guys can see, we're taking over these cars, but we're not taking them over quite that fast. It's kind of slow, right? Now, if you have more acceleration set, that means you're going to be faster coming out of those corners, and you can gain a heck of a lot more ground when you're racing against the other people. And this looks like it could be our biggest straight. So let's go ahead and see what we can get this thing up to. Now, we're at almost 100 now, and it looks like we might hit 110. That's about it. Well, that's a lot lower than I figured we'd hit. But I figured we'd go about 140. But then again, it is a quarter mile, and it is a completely stock Focus, so that kind of has something to do with it. But the transmission-wise, when I'm setting it up and I race this again with the actual car with the transmission, you want to kind of keep an eye out for your actual time that you're setting and how much of a lead you get on the head person. So right now, we're just barely in front of everybody. We are in first, but we're just barely in front of them. Now, another thing that I mentioned is this car, you can do all kinds of upgrades to it. So you can throw on a turbo on it, you can do weight reductions, you can do all kinds of different things. But like I've mentioned before, I think the transmission is probably, I would say whenever I get a car, the transmission is the number one thing that I do, because I think it makes the biggest difference, especially when you want to customize basically between every single race. The transmission is pretty key, because you can set the amount of acceleration you have, and if it's a really curvy track like this one, for example, you would want your acceleration to be way up there. If it's a much longer oval type track, then you'd want your transmission to be set at the more higher speed. But if you're not going all that fast in the first place, then it doesn't really make sense to reserve all that power for the high end, because you're never going to reach it in this short of a track. So we hit it at about, let's see what our time was, and I want to write it down as well, just to get a difference. Sorry for coughing there, guys. I apologize. I'm just getting some paper ready here. So we did it in 3.29.60. And on the very right side there, the gap is only 0.721, so less than a second is all we beat those guys by, completely stock. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to switch over, use the same car, but I'm going to switch to the the tab where we actually have the transmission installed. And because we didn't really go that fast, I mean, we didn't come close to that 140 mark like I thought we would, I'm just going to select the B tab here. I'm going to go down to transmission, and I'm going to probably set my transmission, because we barely went over 100 miles an hour. So I'll bring it down to about 118, 112. 112 is as low as I can go. So we'll go 118. Why not? Doubt we'll get up that high. Actually, let's be safe and go with 124 just in case. So let's go ahead and try this out now. And hopefully you guys will see a huge difference. I'm thinking that we probably will. But the proof will be in the pudding, I suppose, as the saying goes. So now if you look at the acceleration, we're actually moving a heck of a lot faster in a shorter amount of time. I mean, we're almost on by this first corner. We're basically already passing this first guy. And then because we have our acceleration set so much, when we come out of these corners, we are basically flying. And we could actually hit that 124 mark on that long straightaway, because you will fly through the gears a lot faster. So let's go ahead and see how we're doing. We're already in 4th position, which is good. And we'll hopefully take over these guys pretty soon. Stay on the course. That's where I messed up last time too, on the first lap, but that's alright. So let's go ahead and keep on racing here. But I think you guys could probably tell a little bit of a difference. It seems like we are gaining on these guys a lot faster. Our top speed's hitting. I mean, we're almost hitting 100 miles an hour on this, and that's not even the longest straight. So give it a little bit of a break and cruise on through. And hopefully we can get these guys real quick too. Those are our last 2 people in our way. So we only won by just less than a second the last time we did this. So now we want to see what our final results are going to be. And I think we're still on lap 1. And this is probably where we're going to get up to speed. Now if you remember, we only set it for 124, which, are we even going to come close? 110. So we only hit 110 that time. So I could have kept it down at the 118 mark, but that's okay. Sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. And we'll just see how far ahead of these guys we can now get by just having the. Of course, if you upgrade the turbo and you upgrade all that other stuff, you guys are going to get way out ahead of them a lot faster. But this is just the transmission, and this is just lowering down the actual top speed of it. So as you can see, we are already ahead of the guy by 1.8 seconds. So that's a plus. That's more than half what we were before. And we still just about have the whole lap to go. And all kinds of corners to go. So we'll see how it ends up. I mean, at this rate, I know we're gonna be. Oh boy, we look like we're a few seconds ahead now. If you look on the little map down there, they're really not that close to us. So it's definitely cool. I like upgrading the transmission. I like using Gran Turismo 6. I mean, it's really cool. I'd like to try drifting on here actually. I haven't tried drifting once yet, but I think it would be pretty cool. As you guys can see, we are just keeping on gaining on these guys, and the only thing that we did was put that fully customizable transmission in. That was the only thing that we did. So finish line should be right up here. And look at that length that we have on them. So now I'm guessing we're going to have a pretty good gap between what we did in the first place. So the overall speed, we're now down at 320.230, where the first time around we were at 329, so that shaved off about 10 seconds just about. And our gap, we actually are 5.136 seconds ahead of them. So guys, I think that kind of gives a good example of just by putting in a transmission, the difference that it can have. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think I'm going to call the video good. Let me know if you guys want to see some more of these Gran Turismo 6 tips. I do have some more that I could share with you guys, and I hope overall I just hope it's helpful. I hope it's helpful, and I hope you guys enjoy playing this game, and I hope you guys comment on my videos and leave them a like and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see some more. So guys, this is PSW. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.